Hi, and welcome back to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son sit down and talk about fantasy books. I'm the son, Zach.
And once again, I'm the father, Jim. And this time we really do mean welcome back, because this is an extra episode, shorter than our usual ones, because on our last episode we just couldn't quite get in everything we wanted without going way too long for our preference.
No, we intended to include this chapter in the previous episode, but decided it would be better to keep it into a shorter chunk, just give it to you as an extra little thing midweek.
But it will still be a good one. We're pretty happy to talk about what we have today. Great stuff happens in chapter 41 that we will cover today of The Eye of the World. So let's get right to it.
All right.
I don't have a drink to share, a new one, because I'm still drinking
the
other
previous one.
Because literally, we're doing this right after having done the other one.
But I finished mine, but you're still drinking.
Okay, let's just jump in then.
Chapter 41, it's called Old Friends and New Threats.
Rand has narrowly escaped imprisonment, or perhaps worse, if Elida had had her way.
Could have been an option.
In the Camelin Palace, he's clearly been viewed by Elida Sedai as some sort of serious threat, but she couldn't make her strong enough case to, push her will through. So, yes,
either couldn't or chose not to, as some of the worst and most incriminating of the foretellings she chose to only share with Rand himself.
So it's stuff she feels, she knows, but for reasons,
held
didn't share
back.
that for everybody. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think she's a conniving planner,
It's information perhaps
schemer.
she just wants to act on herself.
Exactly. She wants the control. That's my theory.
So Rand got out, and he ran all the way back to the Queen's Blessing. And he quickly seeks out Master Gil, whom he finds in the library playing Stones with Loyal. What is Stones, Zach? What do you envision for that game?
Okay, so the best of my knowledge, Stones is a game, 2-player, and it has a chess-like board, but not exactly. It's a checkerboard space thing of varied size, if I remember correctly. It could be anywhere from a 9x9 to a 12x12, maybe even more. And part of my understanding here is it follows similar with our game Go.
Is that like Othello?
Not exactly. It has a similar thought process of white pieces and black pieces, but the way that you can maneuver pieces and trap things is a little more complicated, whereas Othello, you make lines and they cross over each other, but it's a little more complex, and therefore the strategies and stuff and the traps that are involved in Stones are much more like it. That being said, I don't actually personally know how to play Go myself.
I've only heard of Go. I have no experience with it either.
But as far as I understand, that's our best equivalent to it.
Well, it's definitely one, from what we see with it, that you got to think hard. There's a lot of strategy.
But a lot
ahead.
of our people in the world do know how to play, even if they're not good players.
Right. It's a basic game, but to be really good at it, there's some complex thinking.
Much like how chess is in our world, where you've got people who generally understand the rules of chess, and then people who are actually good at it.
Yes. So, they're playing. Basil Gill is pleased to see Rand, saying he was starting to worry that he'd been gone long enough. Maybe he ran into trouble with that beggar. Or with the white traders,
After all, there were way more wearing the white.
Yeah, and he'd warned him about those. Rand shares, well, I did see the beggar, but the problem is that I also saw the Queen and Elida.
Ha ha ha, that's a good one, Rand. So funny.
Gil is sure he's joking, but Rand reacts with frustration, and Gil takes a second listen. Loyal just comments, Taviran.
It just is. It happens. More proof.
Having gone through the entire telling of the day's events, Master Gil shares that, Rand, there's no more waiting around for your friends. You're going to need to be leaving the city, and the sooner the better. 2 days at the most. And Rand is confused. I mean, what? Why 2 days? Why do I have to leave now?
Clearly, Elida's gonna look for you. Yes, you got let go, but she's not gonna let it be, and Gil knows this.
Like you said, she must have plans. She's going to be hunting for him.
The fact that Rand did name the Crown and the Lion instead of the Queen's Blessing will
and
buy
it's
them...
not the inn right next door.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a totally different part of town.
It'll buy them a little bit of time, but not a lot.
And when she finds out that he lied...
It'll be worse.
Yeah, her suspicions are only going to be confirmed.
Through the roof.
So, we've got to get Matt and Rand on the road ASAP. Obviously, Matt still not well,
Not at all.
Gil will pay to get the local woman who kind of acts like a wisdom in town to come and look at Matt, try to help him. And he says, I'll lend you a couple of horses. I mean, it's the least I can do for you. You're friends of Tom. Tom's done a lot for me. I will do this for you.
Rand is kind of just blown away by how generous Gil is with his help.
Loyal speaks up, saying that he will still travel with them. Rand's like, dude, no, didn't we talk about this? It's dangerous. You shouldn't be coming with me.
Clearly, Ogier must have some kind of thick skeletal structure because the fact that it's dangerous is not getting through his thick skull.
Or they scoff in the face of danger.
I don't think that's it.
The point is, Loyal can see Rand is Taviran, and he will not miss being there to see how the pattern weaves around him. Rand is like, I can't fight this. Okay, fine. You can come along. They are interrupted at this point by a serving maid coming in for Master Gil. Apparently, there are 5 white cloaks making a stink in the common room, wanting to talk to the innkeeper.
Great.
So Gil goes to deal with this. Rand follows, watching from the shadows of the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
The white cloaks, arrogant and insulting as usual.
Yep.
This interchange is great and worthy of a short dramatic reading.
All right.
We haven't done this for a few episodes. Time to pull it out again. I shall play the role of the White Cloak Under-Officer. Zach, you play our good innkeeper, Basil Gil.
Okay, give me a moment. I gotta get into character. I'm not quite as round as he is.
You need to put on some weight for this role.
Give me a few months and maybe...
I think you'd need more than that.
I've been trying most of my life.
Master Gil crossed the room to him, meaning the White Cloak officer, quickly. A cautiously neutral look on his face.
The light illumine you, and our good Queen Morgaze. How may I help?
I've no time for your drivel, innkeeper. I've been to 20 inns already today, each a worse pigsty than the last, and I'll see 20 more before the sun sets. I'm looking for dark friends, a boy from the 2 rivers.
There are no dark friends in my establishment. Every man here is a good queen's man.
Yes, and we all know where Morgaze stands, and her Tarvalin witch, don't we? The scrape of chair legs was loud. Suddenly, every man in the room was on his feet. They stood still as statues, but everyone staring grimly at the white cloaks. The under-officer did not appear to notice, but the 4 behind him looked around uneasily. It will go easier with you, innkeeper, if you cooperate. The temper of the times goes hard with those who shelter dark friends. I wouldn't think an inn with the dragon's fang on its door would get much custom. Might have trouble with fire, with that on your door.
You get out of here now, or I'll send for the Queen's guards to cart what's left of you to the middens.
Now, I got to comment on a person here. There's a character, Lamgwin.
Yeah.
Who's great. And we haven't mentioned him before, though he has appeared a couple of times already in the narrative.
He's big.
Yeah, he's kind of not really a bouncer. This establishment doesn't need a bouncer. He's more of the gatekeeper, normally. The one who doesn't let the riffraff in.
That sounds like a bouncer. That's what a bouncer's job
is. A bouncer throws the riffraff out, usually.
No, they stand at the door to let people in or out and card people to make sure that they are of appropriate age before entering.
Yeah, Lamgwin is a tough to deal with issues. So it says here, Lamgwin's sword rasped out of its sheath, and the coarse scrape of steel on leather was repeated throughout the room as swords and daggers filled hands. Serving maids scurried for the doors. The under-officer looked around in scornful disbelief. The dragon's fang!
Won't help you 5. 1.
You must be mad, innkeeper, threatening the children of the light.
White cloaks have no writ in Camelin. 2.
Can you really believe this will end here?
3.
We'll be back! And they hustle out as fast as they can.
Those chickens. It's appropriate, though. When a room full of swords is drawn on you, you don't draw back, you get out of it.
Yeah. Gil says Rand will need to hide until Gil can sneak him out of the city, since the White Cloaks are also after him. Rand is like, that's crazy. They have no reason to be after me. And of course, we know they aren't.
No.
But they're after someone from the Two Rivers.
Oh, absolutely.
Who would they be after, Zach?
Oh, maybe, I don't know, the blacksmith's apprentice that happened to get away after killing multiple white cloaks.
Mr. Perrin Ibarra. But Gil is thinking, okay, I gotta take care of Rand. I've promised to do this, and he's got both Elida Sedai and the White Cloaks after him. Ah! At this point, another serving girl comes in, saying a lady...
As in, like, an actual nice lady of the court kind of thing, not just a woman.
A lady is in the kitchens, asking for Master Rand and Master Matt by name.
Mm-hmm.
Gil looks at Rand. Lad, if you've actually managed to bring the Lady Elaine down here...
Which, let's be real, if he had, impressive on her part. She managed to track him because didn't have the proper name at the inn.
But Rand replies, I never said anything about Matt in the palace. And then his face lights up, and he rushes to the kitchen. Master Gil's like, wait, don't you don't know what's in there.
It's fine, though. He finds Moraine, Nynaeve, Egwene, Perrin, and Lan.
Yeah, he'd figured out it's got to be them. Lan, of course, he's hanging out at the doorway to the stable yard, watching both inside and outside, doing his Lan thing. Moraine is just sitting there all calm and sees Rand and is like, not surprised at all. She knew he was here. But the others, big Two Rivers party, hug party,
Woo!
yay! Master Gil enters then. He confirms with Rand, yes, these are the friends. These are the droids you were looking for. No, these are the friends he's been waiting for, yes. Gil says to Moraine that he's honored by her presence, but assumes she will be staying at the palace with Elida Sedai.
Yeah, Moraine's not gonna do that.
Not so much, no.
No thanks.
And she insists he allow her to pay. She notes all the cats she's seen in the inn and asks if there's a rat problem. As a matter of fact, there has been a rat problem.
There's been more rats than usual.
All over the city, because the city is so packed with people.
But don't you worry. They have plenty enough cats here. You won't see a rat in this building.
Moraine's like, I got something I can do here, and I will take care of the problem, and the rats will disappear from this whole street. And in fact, what I will do, they won't even notice that they're being diverted. Eventually, then, the group asks about Matt, and Rand shares. He's upstairs. He's not feeling well.
Well, Nynaeve immediately is like, well, that's my job. Let me go help.
That's right. Moraine, she'll go take care of the rats. I'll go take care of Matt. So they head up the back stairs towards the attic room. Along the way, talking about this and that, they touch on Tom, and Rand shares he thinks he's dead due to an interaction with a Fade they had. They get to the room. Before they go in, Rand shares Matt isn't exactly sick. It's kind of hard to explain. You kind of got to see it. Mm-hmm. So he's prepped him, and they go in. And he's like, Matt, look who's here.
And Matt isn't exactly as happy as he ought to be.
Yeah, there's no huggy, happy Two Rivers reunion this time.
There's a skeptical paranoia.
Oh, yeah. It's summed up in one line really well. Matt says, how do I know you're who you look like? What? Nynaeve looks at him and says, what do you mean he's not sick? He's flushed, he's sweaty. She immediately starts thinking of what she can do to treat his symptoms.
Yeah, we get this for the fever, that for the shaking, that for the chills. It'll be great.
Matt sits there just being nasty, though. He seems to know just the right thing to say to each of them to push a button.
Let's be real. Matt always has known how to push buttons, but he's never been malicious about doing it.
He comments to Perrin about how some people have changed. And of course, Perrin's got the golden eyes now that he hasn't shown anyone here yet. He hasn't shown Rand, so that bumps him and says something equally nasty to Nynaeve and to Egwene, just the right things to unsettle them a bit. At this point, Moraine catches up to them. She walks in, she sees Matt, and she's, everybody get away from him.
Uh-oh, something's wrong.
Nynaeve's over there trying to help him. She literally goes and drags Nynaeve away.
And as Moraine then instead approaches...
She actually goes and touches him. And, she's like trying to check what's going on. And she literally starts to convulse from what she feels having touched him. At which point...
Matt pulls the dagger on her.
The dagger slashes right for her face.
Lan, luckily, is there.
Oh, there's no lucky, though, man. He's super Lan at this moment.
Yeah.
Because he's like way back at the door, and all of a sudden, blink! He's right there and grabs Matt's arm, stops it with the dagger like inches from Moraine's face, but rock solid grip. It ain't going anywhere now.
Thank goodness Matt's so weak.
Oh, but it doesn't look weak. It literally
No.
does look like Lan is
It does look
straining to hold it,
has
but
force.
he can do it. Moraine doesn't even flinch.
No. But she is kind of pissed.
Well, she is. She realizes right away this dagger is from Shadar Logoth. She's looking at Matt through this, and Matt is staring at her with hate in his eyes. She's upset. You said pissed. Okay, we'll go with that. Because they had not told her about this dagger. She said, I asked if Mordeth had given you anything, and you said he had not.
And Rand offers the super helpful explanation that, well, he didn't.
He didn't give us anything.
Matt just took this. And I didn't even
know
know until later.
Now, this brings up a great thing from back in Shadar Logoth that I want to go back and highlight. This is a good one. Matt did begin to tell that he had taken the dagger. At least to Rand and Perrin. In Chapter 19, after they escaped the treasure room and its building, just as the torches were all winking out, here's what it says. They burst out into the hall above, sliding and falling on the dusty marble, scrambling out through the columns to tumble down the stairs and land in a bruised heap in the street. Rand untangled himself and picked Tam's sword up from the pavement, looking around uneasily. Less than half of the sun still showed above the rooftops, shadows reaching out like dark hands, made blacker by the remaining light, nearly filling the street. He shivered. The shadows looked like Mordeth, reaching. At least we're out of it. Matt got up from the bottom of the pile, dusting himself off in a shake, imitation of his usual manner. And at least are we? Perrin said.
So clearly Matt was about to say,
at least I got this nice shiny toy. But Perrin cut him off. That interruption sets up all of this. Because then they go back to Moraine, and she questions them, those questions that she just said, and Rand is able to confirm, no, Mordeth didn't give us anything, and we hadn't done anything for him.
And Matt doesn't choose to say anything then, but maybe if he'd been able to say something sooner, one of the other boys could have.
I mean, we know how Matt can be Matt. So he's got this neat trinket, and it didn't meet any of the conditions she just said, so I don't have to mention it.
Plus,
but you know, Rand or Perrin would have said something.
Oh yeah, but it's also a nice little moment of like, Matt's not going to tell someone in authority, but he's going to come talk to his boys. He's going to tell his friends.
That's just huge, because if they had known, Moraine would have heard about the dagger, and all of this goes away.
And yet,
so this is huge.
Ta'Veren.
Yes, actually. Moraine says it is a wonder Matt got this far with the dagger. It has the touch of Mashadar. She sensed it the moment she stepped into the room, and she says a Fade could sense this for miles. All Shadow Spawn would have sensed it, and even some of the furthest gone of the Dark Friends, ones who had truly sold their soul to the Dark One.
Which explains so
much.
One, why they were pursued so intensely, so often on the road, why everyone always seemed to know where they were. And
every little town had a Dark Friend.
Exactly. And two, Matt himself.
It says something about, I mean, we've seen this character, Matt Cawthon, who sucks so bad. But this actually says no.
I'm sorry, he sucks? I love him.
Not what we've seen for chapters and chapters and chapters. This negative, paranoid, untrusting, nasty little guy who's only getting worse. This is saying, actually, this is a very, very good guy. That's the only way he's managed to make it this far.
He's managed. Somehow.
So mark our words. You may see a better Matt. Or he may die next chapter. We'll see.
I'm rooting for the second, as my favorite character will die. Totally. Yep.
Rand also shares Master Gil has heard rumors of shadows and shapes out in the countryside around Camelin. And Lan confirms, yep, those are Trollocs. They're still following you. They still sense this thing. He'd seen the signs when they were coming into the city. And he says, where there's Trollocs, that means there's Fades, and the numbers are growing. Soon enough, those numbers may be large enough, probably will get large enough. They will force their way through the city gates, killing and destroying everyone in their way to get here. Trolloc wars all over in Camelin.
Uh-oh.
Moraine says, okay, we just need to find a way out of Camelin before that happens. Perrin demonstrates a very Eeyore moment. You know what I mean by an Eeyore moment, right?
It'd be better if we were dead.
Yeah. And Moraine just squashes that. She said, what do you think that would accomplish? Dead, you can help no one.
Which, truthfully, at this point, the three boys aren't really considering themselves being able to help anyone, but clearly Moraine thinks otherwise.
But then Moraine is like, okay, I have no more time to argue about this. You guys, you're going to need to get out of here because I need to take care of Matt. You remember this guy, Matt, the one who's hurt here? We're all yakking now. I need to take care of him. The blade from Shedar Logoth, just like everything else in that city, is full of the evil that killed Eredhall. And that evil's now in Matt. And he's been fighting against it, but that fight is almost lost.
So long story short, GTFO and let me work.
If this isn't taken care of now, he'll become what the dagger already is. That dagger, if it even nicks somebody,
They dead.
Yeah, they quickly poison and die. Once his battle's lost with Matt, if it doesn't kill him, instead he turns into something where just spend a few minutes with Matt and you're poisoned and die. No, so I gotta get to work. End of chapter.
And therefore, end of our minisode.
That's right. Next episode, we will cover chapters 42 through 47, which is the same number of chapters we weren't able to complete last time, but we will try. Again, thank you for joining us for this midweek episode. Hope you enjoyed being along with us here today. If you did, subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. And we would value any ratings and reviews of this podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. We love hearing from our fans. You can always comment where you listen to this, and we may be able to see that. Usually we can, but there's many better ways to get a hold of us.
You can reach out at our email, fantasyfortheages@gmail.com, or any of our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or our Discord page where you can talk to us directly.
Yeah, our Discord server, I've got an invite link right there in the show notes. Makes it really easy to jump on and join with other fans of Wheel of Time and fantasy fiction. One other last way you can connect with us is to become a patron.
We love doing this, and we will always appreciate any support that you are willing or want to give us.
So our Patreon page explains the benefits that come with choosing to be a financial supporter of this podcast. Thanks for thinking about it. And that's all we have for today now. So
Absolutely.
we'll talk to you next time.